What's going on, guys? TC Tykilla here, and it's time for part 2 of my NCAA 14 wish list. And this week it's going to be a little bit longer of a video. I'm putting 2 games together, so I'm trying to put about 10 to 12 minutes between the two on them. And like I said, we have 2 games, and I'm going to be explaining game modes in this one, Road to Glory as well as the Dynasty mode. And I actually haven't finished the games yet, so I was just gonna do the stats right off the bat, and you guys can see the final scores. I won't tell you. So anyway, before we get into the games, here they are. UAB at Houston is the first one that you should be watching right now. The total offense, we outgain the Houston Cougars 342 to 236, and rushing wise, we hold them to -1 yards on 9 rushing. They are a pass-happy offense, as most of you know. And we go for 28 rushes for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns for 4.7 average yards per carry. For passing, Trey Moore he gets injured. He comes out for about 2 passes, so he still has a pretty full game. He goes 12 for 19 for 64% completion ratio, 211 yards and a touchdown, 181 passer rating. And this is a pretty telling stat. If you remember, in my last video I talked about time of possession, and in this game we have 18 minutes and 26 seconds of possession, and they have 6 minutes and 9 seconds, way off, and it doesn't even add up to the 20 minutes of game time that we actually play. So I don't know what's going on here, and it needs to be fixed, in my opinion. The next game is UTEP comes to town to Birmingham, and we almost double their yardage. They have 153 as we have 319 yards on offense. The rushing, they go 10 carries for 25 yards, not very good. We get 32 rushes for 164 yards for 5.1 on average, and we continue to dominate on the ground as about 65% of our plays were on the ground. Trey Moore goes 14 for 17, very good game for him, 82% completion ratio for 155 yards, just about 11 yards per reception. But he does have a pick as one of his 3 incompletions, and has a 166.5 QB rating. And for time of possession, it's pretty much the same thing, 16 minutes 44 seconds for us, and 5 minutes and 5 seconds for the UTEP Miners. And so that just goes to illustrate that the time of possession is way off balance and needs to be fixed for NCAA 14 when it comes out. Moving on to the actual part 2 of the wish list. I was going to start at Road to Glory first, just because that's what usually most people play first. That's what I play first, just to kind of get into the game. And I only play Road to Glory once or twice, maybe 3 times a year, just starting out. Otherwise, I just do the Dynasty. So, going into this year's edition of the game, I would like to play a junior year of high school. I don't know how many people else would like to do that, and I think they should leave it as an option. You don't have to do it. I know in other games such as NHL 2012, I don't know about 2013, but in 2012 they allow you to play, just go straight into the NHL, or allow you to go into the minor leagues, and you can either be 16, 17, 18, 19, or 20, and the draft age is 18. So if you choose to play 16, you have to do 2 years of the minor league hockey. But if you choose 17, 18, 19, 20, you can play just the 1, or you can play until your eligibility is up when you are 21. So I think the junior year should kind of be involved in the recruiting process, but if you decide to forego it and just start with your senior year, I don't think that should be a penalty against you. I think it would just be used to kind of get a more base on the recruiting process and see what your skill level is, I guess. So yeah, there's that one. In 2008 or 2009, I just looked the other day on my PlayStation 2, the NCAA franchise had grades matter, and you had to balance studying and working out and all that stuff. And I think that should be added in the game. At the very least, I think there should be a hardcore mode, and this would require you to maybe answer some questions and pick a subject to quote-unquote major in throughout your time through your Road to Glory. And I think it would just make it a little harder, because right now you don't have anything to do with grades, and that's what college football. That's an aspect of college football, is you have to be able to balance your studying with your athlete life. And it's very hard for people. Just the other week we heard about Everett Golston at Notre Dame be suspended, kicked out of school, whatever you want to call it, and not be able to play because of his grades. And yeah, I think it's just a big important thing of football that, I mean, it could still be an option. Like I said, hardcore, and people could choose not to play it, which I think would be the best way to do it. But I think it should be an aspect if people do want to do it. The next thing is kind of changes to practicing. I want practices to actually mean something, and not just something to gain points and to go into recruiting battles, which is a whole nother, not recruiting battles, but position battles, which is a whole nother aspect of its own. I think in practice, you should be allowed to gain experience or just gain your skill, be able to level your skill up instead of having to buy things with like credits you earn, or just wait till the end of the season and let it update you. I mean, there is an extent, so people can't just play practice their freshman year until they get all their skills 99 or anything, but up to a reasonable level, they should be allowed to do that, just so we get the incremental improvements of players over their 4 years of college, 4 or 5 years of college, and be able to do that. And I don't know if they have red shirts in Road to Glory, but that should be another thing too. I know people might not like that, but it is more realistic and allows you to grow more as a college player before going into the NFL, which I'm pretty sure they have brought that back, the exporting the draft classes and Road to Glory players. I don't think there's been official words, but I think someone tweeted about it, so that is up in the air right as of now. And along with that experience thing, I think there should be a more better progression system. Kind of like what I said, don't just earn credits and spend them on upgrades to your guy and stuff like that, which happens in pretty much every game. But I think you should earn your improvements and experience by actually playing, like I said, practice and through the game. If you're a quarterback, if you throw bullet passes, you should earn a teeny bit of experience to throwing power. And likewise, if you're a quarterback, your accuracy, you should start out in your junior year kind of accurate. I mean, you still got to be able to play the game right, so you can't be throwing balls all over and not have it any fun. But now and then throw some errant balls, and if you just keep throwing, throw more of a game, you go to a pass-happy school, your accuracy will go up and all that good stuff throughout your 4 years, and potentially 6 if they did have the junior and senior year in high school. But I think that would be a fun way to do it. Some things would be hard, like I think there's a carrying skill for running backs, and obviously that's what you're going to be doing. But I think those should be smaller improvements than, say, spin move. Every time you do a spin move, you should be able to up your spin move rating or stiff arm rating or juking and all that other stuff. If you don't use it, you don't improve on it. And that's the basis of what I think should be in the player progression system. And I don't know, tell me if this would work or not. Leave me a comment saying what would happen if that were to be implemented, and what are the pros and cons of that. Would you like to see it in the game or not, and why? That's pretty much it for Road to Glory specific things. And now I'm just going to kind of do what should be in both of them, as I'll just go into it. Team violation should be a part of it, and could influence recruiting, and just out of the blue things happen when you're a coach of a D1 school, and that's kind of what happened and that's what should happen in the game, and kind of just a part of college football. I want a more true to life year-round schedule. I think also in the 2008-2009 NCAA football games, they had a spring game and training skills, drills you could do to get like a spark rating, I think. And I want that back. That makes it so much more fun just to actually kind of live the life of, role-play the life of a student athlete going from high school to the big colleges and stuff like that, if that makes sense at all. I would really like to see that happen, because that was really fun for me. I mean, not so much the spring game because it was just a game, but the combine drills and actually having a training camp, that would just make Road to Glory so much fun, and I would probably play it more than just a couple times. Also with gameplay, this should have probably been in the last one, but the computer AI should actually go up with difficulty, and not just like the abilities of the individual players, but also the strategy of like the coaches and the teams. So like if I run a lot on first down, the opponent's defense should stack the box on first down more often, if that makes sense, and just kind of an overall more strategy to the game, not just individual players being better. I think that's what they do. I'm not exactly sure. Say you're playing easy, they'll allow your wide receiver to burn the defensive backs a little more, and not so much on Heisman. Like I said, medical red shirts. Actually, I don't know if I said medical, but medical red shirts should be implemented in the game. It should be relatively easy to do, and really, it's a pretty big part of the game. And it sucks when you get to play one game with your senior quarterback, true senior quarterback, and he gets hurt. And you would really love for him to come back next year, but he can't because he already played one game and is ineligible for a red shirt. Yeah, that was a mouthful. The next thing here I got is realistic non-conference schedules. I mean, so far, I don't have any real complaints with the scheduling features right now, but it would be kind of cool to have future schedules. Say, when you're leading a dynasty, you can get contacted by other schools or contact them for future dates, maybe not too far in advance, maybe 5 years or so at tops. But have other schools come to you and want to schedule your team. I know you're not really an athletic director or GM or whatever, but still kind of put that out there. Do home and home games, not just schedule one game each season, and then by the time it's next season to determine your schedule, you forget who you played and all that other stuff. And then maybe if you already scheduled like an FCS team, a bigger team wants to come come play you just to have a better strength of schedule. Maybe be able to opt out of the previous game and have different pros and cons of that. So any of these suggestions, let me know what you guys think, and really any opinions are appreciated, especially when we're talking about the wish list right now. I said player progression, and also in Road to Glory, I forgot to mention this, the point of view on the field. I do not want that to change. I know in Madden, you don't, as a defensive back, you don't get to view the offense in front of you. You have to play just like a regular old play now game where you are basically looking at them head on. And I don't like that. So hopefully they keep the regular Road to Glory point of view as a defense as it is. Like I actually forgot to mention position battles, and I don't like how it is now where you just get a bunch of points and then you can pretty much out practice for one practice the top guy and pretty much claim a spot. Even if he's the best back the school has seen in years, you can still just go in there and take his spot away if you just go practice when you should. I think it needs to be harder, or even like seniority type thing go in. I know they're not going to hold out a freshman back if he is a phenom and definitely better than the senior just because he's a senior, but I think they just need to be aware of that, be aware of all different things, and make it a little more realistic. And I think I'm running out of time, but I'll try to stretch the gameplay a little bit to make it work. Standardize the game attributes and the game stats. One of my biggest complaints in Dynasty mode is when I play 5-minute quarters and my stats are lower, like my offensive stats, I would only have maybe 280 yards rather than a full game, maybe 600 yards. And then you go into the leaderboards for the whole nation in the middle of the year, end of the year, and you're way down because they're all playing on 15-minute quarters while you're playing on 5-minute quarters. So if they would just make everyone play on 5-minute quarters or base just the numbers on 5-minute quarters, it would make everything more standardized, and you can actually see where your team ranks offensively, defensively, and all that stuff. Because right now, my defense has been ranked number 1 for probably my whole dynasty, because of they're only having to play against offenses 20 minutes instead of the regular hour. Yeah, if that makes sense. That was another mouthful. Anyway, I'll save the little minute changes for the last video. I already got some ideas for that. And hopefully I'll get that out in a week or two, as we are getting near the game's release. In a couple days, it's going to be a month till release. Are you guys ready? Hopefully we'll see the demo soon. And I'll have a couple videos out about the Ultimate Team and the Dynasty updates that they have already announced. So just a reminder, just tell me what you guys think about my wish list and what features you guys would add in the comments below. Thank you guys.